Welcome back to Procrastinate with Books. In today's journey, I thought I'll share up all the book series that I've read recently and the ones that really stood out to me or felt like a hidden gem. I'm going to discuss that with you all. So, without any further ado, let's quickly jump in. First on our list is the Battle of Bapi series. Now, this is a trilogy by Arun Krishnan and it comes under the category of historical fiction set up in 7th century India, in the southern part specifically. This one talks majorly about the Pallav king who is very young and has recently taken the throne after their recent defeat from the Chalukyas. And the story is going from there. Now, the good thing about this series is it's very captivating. The storyline is very engaging. There are constantly things that are happening in there. The only con I would say is there are several character names that the reader might have to associate with, especially if you're not really familiar with the South Indian lingos. It might be a little problematic. So what I did initially was tab out all those characters just to keep sense of who's doing what from which particular army, and that's about it. Apart from that, I think it was a really good series in the historical fiction category, and I do recommend this to people who want to know more about Southern India types. On our series list, we have a cozy detective mystery series, which is the Bangalore Detective Clubs by Harini Nagendra, and this is also a trilogy. The story here is about Ramu and Kaveri, who are husband and wife, where Kaveri is portrayed as a really fierce character set up in around early 1920s kind of a timeline, where she is really trying to educate herself, make a stand up for herself. And India at that point of time is under British colonization, so there are certain aspects that are also reflected from colonization aspects, how the Britishers actually influenced the taste of people around them and what other things were happening around. Majorly, the plotline is revolving in and around the Bangalore area where certain murders are happening, and then these two are investigating it even when things are looking pretty gloomy for them and dangerous for them too. Now, why this is a cozy mystery, though it does not revolve around any cafe kind of a setup, there is definitely murder, there are definitely cozy vibes and certain things that Ramu basically does for his wife, which is really entertaining and cozy kind of thing to watch. For my young readers and those who are young at heart, I have a really good middle grade series, which is again also a trilogy. It revolves around supernatural detective mystery series. This one is by Eric Christopher Martin, and it focuses on the main character Dottie Morgan, who is sometimes fighting the French fry phantom, sometimes she's up against the zombie ninjas, and sometimes she's also against the germlins too. So these three are the really cute, cozy and short stories kind of a thing that revolve around Dottie Morgan trying to solve in all the supernatural occurrences that are happening around in her small little town. Now Dottie has a really quirky personality. Rather than being up into dolls or the sort of normal games, she's really interested in supernatural stuff, and that is where she's really trying to uncover all the mysteries that are occurring, and she's probably paying too much attention to in the town where other people are not really noticing these things. She has a keen focus around those areas. It's heartwarming and full of cozy, funny moments in the mystery too. So if you're looking for something around the middle grade area and trying to entertain yourself with it, you might want to give this a try. For readers of historical fiction, I do have another recommendation that might get you teary-eyed, so keep your tissues close while reading the Partition Theology by Mandeep Sodhi Someshwar. And this one, well, what should I say? Every time I think about these books, it really makes me emotional because the story is along the lines of partition of India, when the British actually left India and India was being divided, or the prior India was being divided into two different countries, and all the states that were affected by it, the common people that were affected by it, are discussed thoroughly in this book in form of stories, in form of common people, in form of political agendas that revolved around common people and how it really affected them on a very granular level. Now, talking about the characters in this book, if I say there are certain characters that are carried forward into each book, so you won't really miss the connection, though these talk about three main different cities that were majorly affected, which is Lahore, Hyderabad, and Kashmir. there are certain characters that are carried forward from part 1 to part 2 to part 3. So you will always feel that there is a connection around the whole series, and the overall topic of discussion around these three books is very similar. So if emotions and nostalgia is on your mind, you might want to give this a try, but of course with addition. Now finally jumping on to my favorite series probably of this year, and one of these books is also going to make under the top 10 category reads of the year, is the Letters of Enchantment series by Rebecca Ross. Now this is the book 2. The first book is actually Divine Rivals, which is sadly not yet with me. It's currently lended out to someone, so I only have this book for you guys. The story here is about Iris and Roman and their romantasy story. The book 1 feels more like a historical fiction because there is not much elements of the gods and wars that's been portrayed. The war is there, but the significance of God and what those gods are really playing into their role is not discussed enough. So the book 1 wasn't that much of a big deal, but the book 2, their role play comes into real action, and you actually see them using their powers and everything, the musical enchantments and so many other parts, especially the magical typewriters. If I talk about, that's one of my favorite areas about the book, and overall it was really entertaining, very cozy, very romantic, in the sense that you are looking for a romantic story but under the layers of fantasy, magic, and historical fiction storylines. Besides these series that I have mentioned over here, there were a few other series that I read as well, but there were some problematic areas, especially in one part or the other, and that's why I'm partially refraining myself from recommending those to you guys, because I really want to recommend series that have been perfect through and through, that not even a single part is, boring or had some aspects that you wouldn't really understand or connect with if you start the series. And that's why these are my recommendations for you guys. And that, my friends, would be all. Let me know in the comments down below if you have read any of these series, or you have some other series recommendation that you would want me to try. I would love to explore them all. Until next time, keep your coffee strong and your TBRs long. Goodbye and Happy New Year.